Hello, everyone. It's your girl Miracle Sims, and you are watching God, Sex, and Love live. As you all can see, I'm here with the one, the only author, Tequila Speaks.
Hello.
Hey, lady, how are you doing?
I'm well, thanks. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good, man. You know what? First of all, I want to say that I believe that you are the first person that I've interviewed from my hometown, if
Oh,
I'm not
well,
mistaken.
awesome. It's an honor.
Yes, lady. So look, represent J Town, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And a class of '04, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Look, always forever, you know. Now, were you at the graduation?
No, I graduated from mid-persons.
Oh, okay. I was just about to say, because I was like, oh, because you remember that rainy graduation now.
No,
No,
it
I
was
guess you
sunny
didn't
when
do
I
it.
graduated.
I guess, look, we'll get into that then, Miss Mary Persons. We'll get into that.
I'm a bulldog. Sorry. No.
Well, yes. So now, first, I want to ask this right here because, I've known you for a while now, and so I know that Tequila Speaks is a pen name. So tell me about Tequila Speaks. Can you introduce everyone to Tequila Speaks?
Okay. Tequila Speaks is my pen name because everything that I speak is from the heart. Everything that I speak is true, and everything that I speak is to inspire someone else. So that's why I use Tequila Speaks. Let me speak to you through what I've been through.
Yes, love it, love it. Okay. So now we know. Now we know. Okay, cool. Now, so just tell us a little bit more about you in particular. Now, your journey to becoming an author or whatever you like to share just about yourself.
Okay, well, first, I am a mother, I'm a wife, I'm an author, and I'm a native of Jackson, Georgia. I have four kids. I love to write. I've always loved writing. As a little girl, I've kept journals, I've wrote poems, and this past year, I just decided I'm gonna go forth. I'm gonna speak my truth. Gave me this gift for a reason, so it's time for me to let the world know who I am as a whole. Um, I like helping people. I like inspiring people. I like giving hope. I love um, inspiring. I really like just ministering to people, if that's a word I should
Mhm.
use.
Oh
So I
yeah.
like. Mm-hmm.
Well, that's a beautiful thing. Honestly, we all should be out here doing that in our own ways. So I commend you for, I would say, stepping out on faith and using your God-given talent to now become an author of what we know to be naked lessons. Everyone,
Yes.
yes, naked lessons. So, I mean, that's a loaded question. I mean, or a loaded title here on God, Sex, and Love. I mean, because we already controversial by ourselves with our name. So, I mean, naked lessons sounds very interesting to us. So, like, what can you tell us about naked lessons? What
Oh
made you write
well,
this?
Naked Lessons, the title itself. I chose that title because I wanted to once again reveal who I was. I wanted to tell people what I've been through because I've been through a lot. But just by looking at me, you wouldn't imagine, like, you would not know who I was as a person had I not told you in this book. The title Naked Lesson, it exposes who I am. Naked is because, of course, if you're naked, everyone can see everything. I withheld nothing. So, and
Mhm.
lessons meaning what I went through helped me become who I am. So it was things that I had to learn throughout life that no one could have taught me other than life itself, which is why I
Mhm.
titled it Naked Lessons.
Very nice. Okay. So okay. So why then? I know. I mean, well, you already kind of answered in a way, but why did you write Naked Lessons?
I wrote Naked Lessons to inspire, to give hope, to um, push people to never give up, no matter how hard the journey of life may seem, no matter how hard it may get. Just continue to push through. And if God brought me through whatever I've been through, I know He can bring the next man or woman that reads my book through whatever they're going through. I wanted to let them know there's a light at the end of the tunnel. It may not seem good, it may not look good, it may not feel good, but eventually, if you stay the course, you'll see what God took you through that for.
I agree. I agree. That is like that's how life is. And yeah, um, even when things don't seem like they're going right, even when things seem bad and everything like that, I agree. I concur with everything you're saying. That at the end of the day, for those that love God, all things work together for the good. And so that's even the things we don't understand, even the things that's bad, all those things work together for our good. Because obviously, you use all those things for this. I would say this. I don't know what it even at this point. I mean, it seems like it's just like spreading like wildfire out here. I mean, every
Yeah.
time I look around, I see somebody holding up one of the books. I'm like, oh, shout out, man. So, okay, so naked lessons. I was able to peruse a little bit, right? So I
Mm-hmm.
was checking out a little bit, and so what I did see was a lot of transparency, right? And sometimes and okay, I'll be honest, even with me, like I have an idea of something that I wrote a while ago before I knew how to uh you know to publish, and that's a whole story by itself. But
Yeah.
yeah, so for a long time I've been sitting on so many ideas, but recently I've been kind of wondering, well, should I put this out? Even though I've already talked about it, but at the same time, I'm just like, I've had that hesitancy, right? And so
Mm-hmm.
when I did take a look at some of the pages in your book, it reminded me of those things because I just was like, you. I mean, I guess for a better lack of a better way to say, you did expose yourself in this, right? You bared all, as people would say, in
Yeah.
regards to being naked or whatever case is. It seemed as if you really, really shared a lot of things that I mean, obviously could cause deep hurt, probably even pain, within yourself or whatever the case is, to share the type of information. However, I appreciate transparency though. I appreciate people that are not
Thank
ashamed to keep it
you.
real. Yeah, like keep it real because at the end of the day, like you say, your testimony can help somebody else. Because a lot of times people feel alone, right? They feel like I'm the only one that went through this or
Yeah.
whatever it is. And so even some of the things that you mentioned in your story that I was able to read, I mean, there are some things that I could relate to, And so
Mm-hmm.
that's the thing. It's like you just never know who uh, your testimony can help. And so, yeah, I mean, I would ask why you're so transparent in the book, or what was most difficult for you in the process. Like, was it difficult for you to write all this in here, or was it like, no, this is my release? Like, which route was it for you as you was writing?
It definitely wasn't difficult. It was not. I was excited about writing this book actually. But there was a difficult chapter in the
Okay,
book.
okay.
And the most difficult chapter I would have to say was interstate
Mm-hmm.
sacrifices. Interstate
Mm-hmm.
sacrifices was definitely the hardest chapter throughout the whole book. I started writing this
Mm-hmm.
book in January of this year, and I finished April, and I released, of course, May 1st. So,
Yes.
Interstate Highways was the most challenging chapter to write. It took
Okay.
me on an emotional journey. It did.
Wow. Wow. So first of all, just that testimony which you just shared of like your writing process and like how long it took and whatnot. Some of us will be sitting on ideas for years. I mean, myself included, and
Mm-hmm.
sometimes we feel like we can't do that thing. So I mean, obviously, I feel like there might have been some type of fire that was lit in you this year, obviously, that took you from writing this thing to now published and within months. So what can you share with us about that in regards to your process and like what was that thing that kept you motivated to get it done and execute it beautifully? Like,
I would have to say my kids. My kids was my biggest motivation throughout the whole process. They were actually the reason why I started to write. I told my
mm,
family on January the 1st that I would be publishing and releasing my book for my 35th birthday, which is one of the reasons why I went ahead and started. I
okay.
chose to write and release by 35 because growing up, I wanted to be well established way before now.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to be someone that my kids could look up to, someone that my kids could be excited to talk about, and someone like if my kids are out in out and about with their friends, and everyone's parents have careers or professions. I want my kids to be able to say, well, my mother's an author, you know. And what I wrote about, I referenced to my kids a lot in my book because, like I said, they were my motivation. They were my story. They were my struggle. They were my truth. So that's one of the reasons why I set out to write. I'm going to go ahead and push forward this publication in hopes of, you know, making them proud, not just myself.
Oh, that is beautiful, man. I did see that in here you have a dedication to them.
Yeah.
So yeah, like you have a whole section here called "To My Children."
Yeah.
You want to share a little bit about that?
It just piggyback from what I just said, which is one of the reasons why they were my light. You know, when I was going through hell and I was like, I felt broken, I felt alone, I felt alienated, I just felt like I was in a dark place. It was me, it was hearing my kids say, Mommy, I love you. It was hearing my kids say, Mama, can we go here? Can we go there? Like, it was just hearing my kids' voice, no matter what they said to me, hearing their voice in my ear
Mm-hmm.
inspired me to like just keep going. I wanted to give up. I contemplated suicide a few times throughout life, but after like knowing you have somebody depending on you, you can't leave them alone in this world because I know, speaking on experience, no one will love my kids like I do. Although there are some people, not to discredit those that I know got my kids' best interests at heart, there are some people that, you know, will go to bat for my kids, no questions asked, but no one's gonna
Mm-hmm.
love anybody's kids like that mother.
Right, right.
So
I
that's
agree.
why I dedicated it to them.
That is beautiful. Like, well, I'm just getting started in the motherhood game. I have a
Yeah,
little
you knew,
two-year-old right now. Like, you got me. You know what I'm saying? You a
Mhm.
pro in this, so obviously, bless me with some tips and whatnot.
Yeah,
But
I
yeah,
got
I agree. It is one of those things where it's like, yeah, I can see in him. I can see that we're probably going to be close.
you. Yeah.
Even though I do have to pull the whole your mommy card. He's just two, but I'm already trying to get him to understand because like there's sometimes it's like he trying to tell me what to do. I'm over here like,
Oh yeah,
who
that
do you think is
happens.
a parent? Like, wait a minute, like.
Mhm.
I'm gonna need you to calm down, sir. But I can't see what you're saying in like that unconditional love that children have for their parents or whatever. It's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing, and it's beautiful that you know obviously you aren't taking that for granted, and that has helped you,
Yes.
you know, and inspired you to create this lovely book. Well, let me see. So she said that chapter 9 was the hardest. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
but how about this? Which one was the most fun? Which chapter would you say was the most fun for you?
Um, the most fun chapter.
That you was like, oh, I've been waiting to say
Oh,
this.
Miracle, you're wrong
Ooh.
now. You put me on the spot with that one. If I had to,
There's so many. You probably like, well, the whole book really
yeah,
probably could.
yeah, the whole book, but the most fun chapter. I think the book as a whole, it was
Yeah.
fun. Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, that's cool, man. That is cool. Well, I so question real quick. So am I your first interview? This is
You are, and that's why I'm kind of nervous. I'm kind of timid. Like this is my first time ever speaking publicly about naked listens.
Wow. Well, look, Tequila Speaks. Look, this is gonna be the first of many, I believe, because obviously
But I
you are out
received
here.
it.
You know what I mean? Creating a
Mhm.
movement out here. You know what I'm saying? So I believe that you're going to be able to, do all the things that you wanted to do in regards to, inspiring people, motivating people, and sharing your testimony and everything like that. So I mean, I don't know. I see great things for you. I honestly like when I look at people that we grew up with, or just Facebook is good for that. You can see different people, whatever the case is. I'm like, there's been a lot of greatness coming out of old Jackson, man.
Yeah,
Shout out
yes,
to
it
Bud
has, and
Kim.
I'm seeking to become one of the greatest.
Yes, yes, indeed, yes, indeed. So let me see. I'm gonna peruse some of these chapters here. Hmm. Well, okay, all right. You know what? Lesson number 4. I think this is something that we all deal with.
Okay. No.
All right. We
Mm-hmm.
and well, we probably don't realize we're dealing with it, but I feel like it's something that we all might deal with. So What if you gave a summary of lesson 4, which is fighting demons? What's
Oh,
going on with that, sis?
oh, look, because look, I honestly I forgot the number, I forgot the chapters, I forgot the lesson names, well, I forgot what order they were in.
Uh,
Fighting demons.
mm-hmm.
Fighting demons was inspired by the hell I went through and who I went through the hell with and why I went through hell. So fighting
Mm-hmm.
demons, it summed up my relationship with my kid's father,
Oh,
whose middle
okay.
name is actually Demon. So now you see where demons come from. It was a very, very, very toxic friendship, relationship, situationship, baby
Mm-hmm.
mama, baby daddy ship, however you want to label it. It was very toxic, and I was like fighting. I was fighting myself to get him to love me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I felt like he was the only person for me. I felt like if I couldn't have him, I didn't want nobody else to have him. I went through a very emotional time dealing with him, and he and I, we were back and forth for 7 years. So I went through a lot of hell in those 7 years, and mainly because I knew that I needed to love myself, but I wasn't ready to love myself until he loved me.
Mm.
So,
Mm.
I was caught up in a love triangle. I was caught up in a lot with that. So that's where fighting demons came from. I was like fighting against what I knew was right for what I know I wanted. I knew I wanted, and it wasn't right for me.
Girl, we can look. We can just might as well hang up
Look,
now. That right there. I mean, like that's
yeah, so
it. That's
that's
it.
where fighting demons came from.
Girl,
Fighting
that right
demons.
there.
For those of you that haven't read my book yet, in Fighting Demons, I told about when I would walk the streets of Jackson, where we're from. I would walk the streets looking for him. I would like call people. I would go to people's houses. Like I was on a rampage for this man when all I needed to do was really sit down and do a self-evaluation and understand that no man could love me like God could. And so after I realized that, which came with my kids, losing my kids to defects, that's when I found the love of God that I needed for myself.
Girl, look, Tequila, you better speak, Tequila.
Yeah, so that's what Fighting Demons was about.
Yes, yes. Okay. Well, obviously, probably not in that chapter, right? But I mean, at some point, you saw the light, right? So what would you say was that thing that helped you to see, like, you know what, this ain't where it at. Like, this is not where I should be. This is not.
My case with defects, which happened right at the end of he and I. Yeah,
Okay.
that was my eye opener.
Mm-hmm.
I lost my kids to defects. He was already incarcerated. Well, he was incarcerated. And I lost my kids to defects because my 4-month-old baby at the time, she'd fallen off the bed and she had 2 skull fractures. So, Butts County defects, they take your kids for anything. The kids that should have stayed in the home, those are the ones they take first. But my kid's father was locked up. And so my kids got taken taken out of my home like a few weeks after he was incarcerated. And so during that time, I felt like God had forsaken me. I felt like life wasn't worth living, and I wrote in my book also, this was a true story. I heard God tell me one day, he said, trust me. And I was really battling with God. Like, how can you expect me to trust you when you've taken me through all this hell? The people that I love the most, you've taken from me. You've taken my kid's father, and then you've taken my kids from me. So how do you expect me to trust you when I have nothing left? So God and I went back and forth, believe it or not. He and I went back and forth for a while, and I heard him also say, when she's done waddling in self-pity, self-guilt, feeling forsaken, she'll seek out to me. And that's what I did. I went flat on my face, looking for God. Now I need you because there's nothing else I can do without you. I needed somebody to hold me, and when I was by myself and my kids were gone, I needed somebody to hold me. And when my mother wasn't available, or when my cousins or my sisters wasn't available, there was nobody in my home but God. So he rocked me a few times. So
I,
that's when I realized I need God more than I need anybody. I needed God more than I needed my kid's father. I needed God more than I needed my kids. Honestly, I needed God first.
that that is powerful.
Yeah.
That is powerful because yeah, a lot of times we do fight against what it is that we know we should do, what it is we know that what God will is. It's like we'll know. We know in our heart, we know in our mind, we already know. But we'll just fight it, fight it, fight it. And then until it gets us to the point where, yeah, and when you look around, there's nothing else but God, then you're like, man, well, if you're humble, and you know what I mean, then you'll go to God.
Yeah.
But those, there are those that still continue to fight, even when they still get in that place. And so, so hey, thank God that you were able to recognize that
Yeah.
and come, and now you see the other side, right?
Yes.
Like,
Yes. Yes.
I
And I'm
mean,
so
you're on the other
grateful.
side now, sis.
I'm so grateful.
Man, that is powerful just by itself. Oh goodness, let me ask about another one then. Hold on,
Go ahead.
let me ask about another chapter here. Ooh, uh-oh.
Oh, I'm scared.
You want to talk about family lies?
Oh, of course. Yes.
Oh, of course.
Oh, I talk about family lives. Very interesting chapter.
Ooh. Oh, okay. Okay.
Family Lies was written because it was true. Growing up as a young girl, I always heard my family say, "Family is all you have. Look out for family. Love your family. Take care of your family." You know, they always big on family.
Mm-hmm.
After my grandparents passed, well, my after my dad's mom passed, life showed me who my dad's side of the family, some of them were. Um,
Mm-hmm.
it was, I love you, I love you, I love you, I love you. But when it was time to put forth action behind that word love, there wasn't any.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I also wrote Family Lies to break generational curses. When my readers read, or when they do read Family Lies, they'll see I expose my kids to everything because I want them to know what's really going on, what has happened, that are some of why things are happening the way that they are. Family
Mm-hmm.
Lies was also wrote to expose what really go on in the Black families, because oftentimes families are broken. You know, families
Mm-hmm.
are cursed
Mm-hmm.
because people don't want to talk about the truth. And I I remember times, Miracle, when my grandparents were sick and I would be out. I'd be called to come clean the house or come do this or come do that. And whenever I was called, I went running.
Mm-hmm.
But when my grandparents died and during the time that my kids were in defense custody, that same house that I was going to clean, Miracle, my kids wasn't even offered a bed in. When I couldn't house them, they weren't offered a bed. And that was kind of that hurt it. Now as a older person, I was young when I had my case with defense, but now as an older person, I don't want my kids to ever experience love that's fake from a family member.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Family Lies. The most frequent lie told in the Black families is "I love you."
Wow.
That's a lie, because you know what? Love is an action word. Love hold, love pray, love heal, love help. That ain't what love is in some Black families.
Mm.
It's the complete opposite. It's hate. You got family members that don't want to see you progress. You know, you got family members that don't want to see you be successful. They don't want to see you happy and all that. Those are the family members that claim they loved you. But if you love me, all those things I just mentioned, that's what you would want from me first and foremost.
Right,
And it
right.
wasn't given. So Family Lies exposed a lot. It did.
Ooh, girl, that is deep, but that's true. I mean, it's true. It's
Yeah.
true. I mean, a lot of times, we brush things under the rug. We don't hit, not to attack things head on, but yeah, sometimes we're
Mhm.
just not honest, they're open and honest about like what truth is and whatnot. And so, I mean, for me, again, I commend you for allowing your kids to know the truth versus like just kind of living in a lie, as you would say.
Mhm.
Um, I hate that that was the experience. Um, and then I mean, and not hopefully, hopefully. Uh, it would change. You know what I'm saying? Like hopefully, people can start, hearts and minds and things like that start to open and become a little bit better when it
Yeah,
comes to that. But we
that's
can't
the
control
prayer.
anybody else, at the
Yeah,
end of the day. Yeah, you can only control yourself and how you respond to,
respond,
what
and
you give.
sometimes the best response is absence.
You're right about that. You're right about that. You're right
Absence is
about
the best
that.
response. Absence can't be disrespected. It can't be misinterpreted. None of that.
Mm, mm. Yeah, they say the whole phrase, blood is thicker than water and everything like that.
That's a lie. I'm sorry, but the thing is, with the family that I created, meaning myself, my husband, my 4 kids, and my bonus kids, in our family, my ultimate goal as the mother is to break those curses. Like it ended with me. It ended
Mm-hmm.
with me. Molestation, that ends with me.
Mm-hmm.
Alcoholism, that ends with me. Being
Mm-hmm.
abused by men, that ends with me. Being an abuser, that ends with me. All of those demonic spirits, that ends with me. It won't
Mm-hmm.
go into my kids. It won't affect my kids because my kids are being exposed to everything. And they
Mm-hmm.
know what should and shouldn't happen. And a lot of
Yeah.
times in the Black families, that's why the young kids are growing up broken because they don't witness so much, but don't nobody want to talk about
Yeah.
it. And
Yeah.
once you start talking about things, you start healing, which is another reason why I wrote my book, so that I could heal. Because
Yeah.
after I release my truth, now the world know who I am. I withhold nothing from anybody. I'm an open book. But now that the world know my truth, I can breathe better. I can
Mm-hmm.
walk away from things that hurt me. I can walk away from people that hurt me. And I won't feel bad about it because I've exposed things for where they are. I've accepted them. And my husband and we went back and forth with that for a while, like just walking away from it. But after I did that, life's been good. Yeah.
I mean, yeah. I mean, that's one of those things you gotta like keep your own peace at the end of the day
Yeah.
too. At the end of the day, you have to live with you. And then when your mind is all over the place and you're trying to like accommodate other people, like that was one thing that I experienced in one of my last relationships. I was dealing with somebody that was verbally abusive
Mm-hmm.
and things like that. And at some point I started to not even recognize myself with the way I
Yeah.
was interacting with this person. And I started to like kind of just keep notes to myself just to remind myself of like my own thoughts and my own, because it was like so much of his opinions or so much of his criticism on everything about me that it was like, God, man, like it got to the point where, because here I was on the flip side with him, I was trying to just be understanding of where he came
Mm-hmm.
from, been through, and all these different things, and try not to be what he has experienced, from what I understood he experienced, and things like that. But it got to the point where I had to ask myself, like, well, who is going to love me right now?
Yeah.
Who's going
Mm-hmm.
to accept me for me?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's
Uh-huh.
supposed to be him, but it ain't him right now. It's because
Mm-hmm.
he got all the problems with me. I got all the issues, right?
Yeah.
But here I am over here trying to be so understanding. So, yeah, and so it can get like that about any type of relationship, right?
Yeah.
It can, when, like you say, with family and everything too, it can be over there. You can find yourself trying so much to bend and do all these things. And then at some point, you got to just look at it and be like, okay, well, what? Wait a minute. Like,
Who care about me? Yeah.
yeah, like, what about me right now? Like,
Yeah.
can I have a moment? Like, can I have some peace? Because here I am trying to, spread that for others. But then, at some point you have to take that time for yourself and stuff like that too. So,
Definitely.
I mean, I understand. I understand where you're coming from there. Sometimes, that separation is best. Or like my mom would say, she would say, like, if you can feed people with a long handled spoon, um, sometimes, you have to keep,
My
for your
response to
own peace,
that, my
you know.
response to that cliche of feeding people with a long handled spoon, I don't feed them at all. You can starve. I don't care. Because you know what? You can feed them out of a long handled spoon, but that means you're still giving them something. And you get tired of giving and giving and giving, no matter how much or no matter how little, but you're not getting anything in return. So who's going to feed you?
I understand that too. Yep, understand.
Yeah, so I don't feed them at all. Mm-mm. Nah. My views, now, granted, my views go against a lot of views of other people. But that's what makes us human. You have your thoughts, not you in particular, Miracle, but people have their views of things, and I have mine. And mine is oftentimes a lot different.
Mm-hmm.
But it has to be. That's what makes me who I am. That's one of the reasons why I speak so boldly, because my truth, as long as it doesn't offend anybody else, is my truth.
I mean, yeah, I feel you with that. That's funny. But I mean, but honestly, I laugh. But at the same time, I guess I'm like that in some ways too. That's something that now I feel like I'm working on it though. I feel like I'm trying to be a little bit more empathetic when it comes to situations. Because again, I guess as a believer or as a Christian and everything like that, I try to say, okay, well, Lord, you want me out here, for example, spreading the gospel or sharing, what your words say. But at the same time, too, you gave people free will. You say they can do whatever they want to do, and I see people making choices, right? And they do what they want to do. What you want me to do about that now? Because, but then what came to me was, as I guess pray about that and to reflect on that in my journey. One of the things came to me is like it's not necessarily up to me to change their minds about anything. It's just for me to either water that seed or put that seed in there, or whatever the case is. It's not even for me to because that's him and God and them at that point, So it's like, okay, I just need to do what I'm supposed to do. But for me, I kind of felt challenged about that because I just was like, man, I feel like I'm not. It's not that I don't care about people. I mean, I do care, but at the same time, I'm like, okay, if you want to believe whatever you want to believe and you got free will to do it, I'm not gonna argue with you. You know what I mean? I'm like, okay, and then I move on. But then I'm like, I don't know, Lord, maybe he's trying to work on me about that. I don't know, but Tequila say, oh no,
Listen, let me tell you something. God, you're supposed to love everybody, but me personally, I just feel like I can love you from a distance. I don't have to deal with people. I don't have to deal with them because people, the main reason why I distance myself from certain people is because I don't like the way they make me feel. And I can't challenge them for how they're making me feel. I can't be mad at them for how they make me feel. So I have to just walk away. That's to maintain my sanity. Because a lot of people have called me crazy. I don't know if you've heard of Miracle, but in the Jackson community, I've been called crazy a few times. That's because nobody really understood what I was going through mentally. So now as an adult, I've gotten to the point in my life to where I can X you out and live happy. I can X you out and live happy. As long as my kids and my household is okay, I'm good. I'm good. Because you know what? People can claim they love you. People can smile, give you a pat on the back in your face. They can do all kinds of nice gestures in your face. But it's when you walk away that, they reveal who they really are to other people. So I know how you feel. You're not going to express it to me, but I know how you feel. So I'm just going to stay away from you. God said, love thy neighbor. He didn't say be a fool for him. Family, nobody. So I'm not going to put myself in a position to continue to be hurt by nothing or nobody.
I feel you on all that. It's been some of the weirdest situations with me and like I guess friends and stuff like that. It's like here I am over here trying to just be what I would hope people would be to me. But then I see like who's there, for me in my winning seasons or my seasons where I need support or whatever the case is. It's like you look around and you see who's there, right? And you can't help but notice who's not there sometimes. And so for me, it's been interesting to kind of observe that. But at the same time, too, I'm like, all right, well, things happen for a reason, and sometimes people go apart and things like that. And so, it's something I learned to be okay with too, because maybe the season's up, as some people say.
You're right. You're right about that.
Now, Mr. Quilla speaks, man. I don't want to expose your whole book, so I'll tell you what, we'll let the people, if they want to read the rest or get more, unless is there anything in the book that you would like to talk about right now before we
Oh,
move on to your other question?
oh, let's see. Let me see. Let me
Take a
see.
look, Quincy.
Give
Take
me a
a
second. Let me see.
okay.
Let
Okay.
me see.
Now look, I'm gonna be one of those people that because they feel like everybody look like everybody, whatever. So, oh, is
Um.
that you on the cover?
Oh yes, that's me. This is
Yes.
that's me.
Ah, I
Um.
like it.
The one thing that I want to talk about is lesson one.
Lesson one. Let's look at it. Let's go.
Lesson one is titled "Growing Pains,"
Yes.
and the reason I titled it "Growing Pain" is because that's when life began. Like at the age of 8, I was molested. Um, I was molested repeatedly by a family member. Um, that built up so much rage inside of me because I held it in for so long to where it kind of handicapped me. It prevented me from being genuinely happy. It prevented me from being a friendly person or, a respectful person.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to talk about that chapter because there's so many adults, like I'm 35 now. There's so
Mm-hmm.
many people my age or older that has encountered molestation or any kind of sexual abuse, be it as a child or as an adult, that
Mm-hmm.
they've had no one to talk to about it, so they held it in. And it's really it holding in what was happening to me prevented me from living in my truth.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people, when I was being molested, it had me put up with me. When you go back to the money, fighting demons. A
Mm-hmm.
lot of people put up with whatever they put up with, be it physical abuse, mental abuse, verbal abuse, emotional abuse, spiritual abuse. They put up with it because they were abused as a child or they were abused in life at some point and they had no outlet.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to enlighten people that if you have been molested, if you are a victim of sexual abuse at any age, you are not alone. There are plenty of people out here that have went through the same thing. And once you tell your story, you don't have to tell it to me. I really don't like knowing that people can identify with what I went through in growing pains
Mm-hmm.
because it hurts. It hurts to think that the pain inflicted on me was also inflicted on somebody else.
Yeah.
So I really want people just to know that it's okay to talk. Even if you have to write it down, writing is a form of communication. Writing is a form of releasing the things that hurt you. Once you write it, you'll feel better. Once you tell somebody, you'll feel better. Now, I did not expose who my abuser was in my book, and I'll never do that publicly.
Mm-hmm.
Mainly because I don't want people to be so judgmental. Only because I've forgiven. I'm sorry, I said forgiven.
That's okay.
I've
That's okay.
forgiven my abuser, which was another reason why I could write about it. It
Mm-hmm.
happens so much in the Black families.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Sexual abuse happens so much in the Black families, and Black women are growing up mentally distraught because of what they went through as a child, and no one defended them, or no
Mm-hmm.
one, thought enough to make sure this never happens again. No one cared enough to protect that child. Now, granted, that's not what happened in my case. My
Mm-hmm.
family, when they were made aware of it, they handled the situation.
Mm-hmm.
That they did, but I didn't get counseling for it. I didn't have that one person I could just sit and cry out to. I didn't get counseling until my kids were taken by defense. So that was
Mm-hmm.
2013 when I did get counseling. That's when I started to heal. Prior
Yeah.
to counseling, age of 14, I was sent to juvenile. Age 15, I was sent to juvenile because I was a rebellious teen. I
Mm-hmm.
went being molested took me to a place mentally to where I pray no child has to ever go to. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so I wanted to talk about that to let the Black parents know if there's anything your child come and tell you, don't question it. And if you are going to question it, you question who they say did it to them. Mainly because men and women, boys and girls, it happens to both genders.
Mm-hmm.
But you gotta you got to know that if a child is acting out, you got to be able to identify possible reasons as to why.
Yes.
So that chapter took me for a loop. That chapter, it was easy to write about, but it took me for a loop because that was the sole purpose of really writing this book. Also, that's another reason why I titled it Naked Truth, Naked Lessons, because when I was naked when it happened to me. And being molested affected my relationships throughout life. It was just, please read Growing Pains. If you haven't already, when you get your book, or to the viewers, when you get your book, or it's on Amazon, Kindle, all that. When you get your book, read Growing Pains. Do not skip that. Do not skip Growing Pains.
Thank you for sharing that too, because honestly, I did want to ask you about that. So thank God for even saying, let me be able to remember to, to ask you something about what you want to talk about, because what you're right, it's definitely common, in our community, probably more common than we know, or
would care to speak
expected
up.
to be. Yeah, or that you will hope that it's not. And I know we talk about it a lot on GSL about like how you know things are affecting kids throughout their lives. And so this is another testimony, everybody that's watching here on GSL, this is another testimony of someone whose entire life was affected by something that happened in her youth.
Yeah.
And so I say it all the time, it's like that's why with everything that's going on right now, and I know it's controversial, if we start going deeper into like specifics.
Oh,
But
and you know what? I'm fine with that.
It will be a little bit controversial if we do start going deeper. But at the same time too, I'm just like, again, well, thank you for being able to again share your testimony and being transparent about it, because it does open up the conversation a little bit more, and hopefully it will, like you say, make parents a little bit more aware of things. Because back in the day, if a child would talk about any type of sexual feelings, or any type of, oh, I feel this way, or I feel that way, or oh, I know what this is, I know what that is, you could question it and be like, how do you know this?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That would be something to trigger that type of, well, I mean, if you're paying attention, that would be something to trigger that type of. For me, what I'm saying is, back in the day, if a child was to be like, oh, I feel like I like such and such, a kid, or I feel like, oh, that's not, or ooh, extra kissy, or whatever the case is, like, where did you learn this from? Like, what are you doing? Like, stuff like that. But these days, because everything is so out there and in your face, like stuff is in cartoons, stuff is everywhere. So now, I mean, it's not easy to necessarily track that something could have happened to the child. More so now, it's kind of like, oh, well, they probably just saw it on TV, or they just probably saw it, on a cartoon or something, when at the end of the day, something still could have been happening to the child. So, I mean, yeah, girl, I don't know if we want to get on this one, because we can't.
I'm fine.
I mean, you good? Like, little people.
I'm good.
But I mean, it's just so true though. And I just wish people, this is where, I mean, I talked about this on my podcast too. So, I mean, y'all can hear my testimony there. We ain't even got to go into my stuff right now. But what I'm saying is just like, I just wish adults would just leave kids alone. Like, let's not even have kids in this conversation of sex at all. Like, we shouldn't be talking about kids and sex and the same thing. Like, let's let them grow up, and then they can decide what they, like, and all this other stuff. Like, can a kid just be a kid? But right now, and I say this all the time too, I feel like I say it a lot when I talk to different people. But I just feel like, because of the way things are going, the way there's so much exposure to all this sexual stuff to the kids and just everybody, it's like I feel like I gotta, and because like you said, with your things happen at a young age, and unfortunately, I'm not trying to get into my stuff, but at the same time, there were things that happened to me at a young age too. And so for me, I just feel like I have to have conversations with my 2-year-old son, or whenever he's able to start understanding. I got to start having like these type of conversations, because if I don't, everywhere else is going to be exposing it to him. And it's like, I mean, I want to leg up. I want to be like teaching him what I want him to know about this stuff versus
Yeah.
like,
Letting the
somebody
streets
else
or
coming in and
everybody else,
teaching
yeah, influence them.
right. And so it's deep. It's deep. And yeah, I mean, but I don't think people see when they're in those moments, right? They're not thinking about how this is going to affect this child. They're thinking about just probably their own selfishness or whatever case is, or the spirit within them. We know that, at the end of the day, it's
It's a spirit. It
spiritual
is a
thing.
spirit. Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, it's that too. So, I mean, it's hard to kind of necessarily condemn the person per se, but at the same time, I feel like we have choices. We have choices, and I just feel like adults in those situations, or if someone is old or whoever, because I don't know if it was an adult that when it came to you, but
Nah,
I just feel like
you
adults
older.
or somebody that was older that knows more than the person that you are victimizing. That's what I mean.
Yeah.
It's just you know better. You know better. And now you're exposing this child to something that is going to be with them their entire life. Like people don't think about that, but you are an example. I'm an example. There's a lot of people that are out here that are examples of this is something that we've taken through our entire lives.
Like, yeah.
We had to try to figure it out. Like you said, you've gone through a lot in your life where you're like, dealing with it by raging or whatever the case is. And it's just I'm just saying if people should just think more before they do things, especially with kids. Like leave kids alone. Like I don't know. I mean, to me, it's
Baby.
not that difficult, but something I don't know, girl. I don't
Yeah,
know. Thank you for.
and a lot of people ask me, have I had a one-on-one with my abuser? And the answer is no, I haven't. Do I see my abuser? Yes, I do. No, I haven't had a one-on-one, and mainly because I'm afraid that if I bring this to that person, that he will deny it.
Yeah.
And that now I've forgiven him. He has been forgiven. I don't hold it against him. I don't. But my prayer for him is that demonic spirit will be, released from him. I pray that
Mm-hmm.
he will get help. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but I haven't talked to him about that mainly because I'm afraid that he'll deny it, and if he deny it, that's gonna like open a whole.
It could trigger something within you because
Yeah,
now you trying to call me a liar. Like
yeah,
I experienced what I experienced. Like girl.
yeah.
Like okay. Now that's why I started keeping diaries back in the day
Mm-hmm.
because not because of like what happened per se. Well, it's because like times when you remember something and then someone tells you that it didn't happen. So then I
Yeah,
was like, man, from here on, like I know I'm gonna write down whatever, because I don't want to be in that situation like nah, man, like I know this happened. Like I was
yeah,
there.
and
Like,
and two,
So,
not to cut you off, Miracle, but me being me being the person I am, the main reason why I had to forgive my abuser was because I needed to be free. And by me holding in so much hurt and so much guilt because of what this one particular person did to me, it was robbing me of having a great quality of life.
mm-hmm.
So forgiving him it gave me a new mind. Like the doors open. Life was good after I, forgave this person. But if I could have a one-on-one with this person, the one thing I would say is, I forgave you, but the only way I forgave you, but I'd love for you to just tell me you're sorry for one and mean it. And not apologize to me. But please just don't do that to no other person. Don't touch another person. It's not right. It's not
Right.
right. I don't want to see this person in prison. I don't want to see this person dead. I wish nothing bad on this person. I
Mm-hmm.
just want this person to love himself enough to never do it again to nobody. I don't care how old or young the person is. Don't take them through what you took me through.
Yeah. Yeah. Man.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
it's
mean, and that well. that is true. Like we do need forgiveness is definitely important because of that. I mean, they say it all the time, like, oh, well, forgiveness isn't for the other person, it's for you. But it's true. It's
I put
true.
that
I
in my
mean,
book. I didn't put that in my book. I put that right there. Forgiveness is not for the other person. And that takes me back to when I just said I had to forgive my abuser so that I could be free.
yes.
So forgiving him, and he don't even know that I know that he did this to me. So to forgive him, I'm a better person. I can
Yes.
love more freely now. I can smile more freely. Whereas before I was just full of rage. I was angry and I held everybody I came in contact with accountable for what he did to me. So yeah, forgiveness is for you. Forgiveness, I said again, forgiveness is for you. Because a lot of people ain't gonna be sorry.
Yeah.
But you just gotta train your mind to where, you know what, even if he ain't sorry, even if she ain't sorry, I forgive them. They can stay miserable, they can go on about their merry way. I don't wish anything bad. Just stay away from me. Just don't do it to nobody else. Don't make anybody else feel the way I feel.
Right. Tequila. Man, you just never know, man. Look. Tequila said, when I'm speaking, I'm going to speak.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, indeed, lady. Well, can you please tell the people where they can find you on social media and find your book and everything like that? Remind them if like that.
On Facebook, I am author Tequila Speaks. You can find my book Naked Lessons on Amazon. It's also available on Kindle and WeBuyBlack.com.
All right, sis. All right. I see we got a few comments. Let's see. Crash CL motto says, "Live it, life lessons. Live it and enjoy it."
Hey.
Thank you. And Stephen Law said hello as well.
Hello.
Okay. Cool. Well, lady, I've truly enjoyed you. I mean, I appreciate you taking out the time to chat with me today.
Thank you
I
for
hope that you
having
enjoyed.
me.
Yeah, first time on GSL. You know you are welcome to come back
First of
anytime.
many.
Yes. Like I said, you're welcome to come back anytime. We have panel discussions and stuff like that too. So you definitely are welcome.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Yes, indeed. So I don't want to cut you off though. So is there anything you would like to say to the people before you go?
Go get your copy of Naked Lessons. They are still available. They're still available. And live in your truth. Live in your truth.
Amen. Well, everybody, that is God, Sex, and Love live with Tequila Speaks. Thank you so much again for your time. And everybody, have a great night.
Thank you. Have a good night.
If you like what you hear, then consider supporting our podcast. Every listener that supports us for $9.99 a month will be entered into our monthly raffle for a chance to win a free gift. So become a supporter today.